Glad. It's a big crowd for the marriage.
Good evening, everyone. If you all stand with me, I'll lead the pledge. Have Alex lead the prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Lord, we just pause before you here tonight, Lord, and just give you thanks and praise, Lord, for all that you've done for us, Lord. I thank you for this community you bless us with, Lord, this school that you bless us with, and we pray that you give us your wisdom tonight as we make decisions on behalf of this community and school. Lord, I just want to take an opportunity, Lord, to thank you for the life of Landon's dad, Daryl, Lord, and what he meant to so many of us, Lord, and I pray that in his passing, Lord, that you can just draw those close to him, close to you, Lord, and just give them comfort, Lord, as they mourn the loss of the husband and father and friend, Lord. Pray this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Okay, so we'll begin the meeting with items on the consent agenda, which include approval of minutes from the regular meeting from June 17th, and also approval of the executive meeting June 30th, approval of claims, professional development requests, which I'm thinking of already, no, this maybe a couple. Yeah, and field trip requests. There weren't any of those. Okay, and we've had time to review all the claims and the minutes and ask questions. And are there any other questions of board members this time? Okay, so I will entertain a motion to approve items from the consent agenda.
Make that motion.
And I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next item on the agenda are comments from patrons concerning items on the agenda. So I will just remind, since we have a crowd here tonight, we're not used to having, so I'll just remind you guys that we do by statute now have 2 times when questions can be asked. One is toward the beginning of the meeting and one is toward the end. They are usually considering items on the agenda. Our board has been open to entertaining questions, like if something strikes your mind while we're talking or so forth. So yeah, just if you have questions or concerns, just be considerate of the board members. We may not have immediate answers, especially if they weren't on the agenda, but and then also be considerate if other people want to talk. So, all right. So are there any comments from patrons concerning items on the agenda at this time? Nope. Okay. We also do, by statute, have our meetings recorded now, and we're on camera. So for anybody that wants to watch online, we're required to do that. And so if anybody's joining us, welcome. And the next item under new business will be the driver's education approval.
I mean, you guys are all on camera too.
You are. It goes all the way around our room. All right, so for 25-26, you have a list of drivers instructors and skill test instructors in your board packet. I will go ahead and read those. We have Mike DeCourcy, Jordan Gwynn, Brock Higgins, Jeff Doyle, Corey Rahal, and Tinley Lester. We do offer driver's education for not only our students, but any students in the area who would like to take it as well. It's something that used to be in schools, went out of schools, and I think it's very much appreciated that we have the driver's education here. Makes it a little more convenient for our families. And the fee is staying the same, $360 for the online and driving portion. And then there's a skills test fee of $30. So tonight I'm asking that you would approve the driver instructors and skills test instructors as listed and presented, and then also the fees to remain the same.
That's the most instructors we've ever had, isn't it? Is it?
We are adding one additional one. We did have Josh Thompson who did it, and Corey and Tinley are both coming on this year. So yes, we have quite a few. They're very busy.
Mr. Kavanaugh and Mr. Gallagher had a heyday. All right, Brett.
That's right.
Mr. Fox,
Mr. Fox?
Okay, so I will move that we approve the drivers instructors as presented, the skills test instructors, and to keep the fees the same, and I'll entertain a second.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next item is the 25-26 athletic ticket prices.
Again, you had these in your board packet. This year, we are going to see an increase in the adult passes, $10. They're going to go from $110 to $120. Student passes will stay the same. General admission is going to remain the same as well. And then we still have our Barr-Reeve student special, where if they have a Barr-Reeve shirt, they're admitted free to all sporting events. And then varsity boys basketball, if they're wearing a Barr-Reeve shirt, they are admitted for $1.
Any questions?
And it's been several years since we've raised our all sports passes. And as everyone knows, everything's going up a little bit. So we tried to hold off as long as we could. But this year, Aaron did request that we raise it by $10. So that's our request this evening.
Okay. I will entertain a motion to approve the prices for the sports passes.
I'll make a motion to approve the prices for the sports passes.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next item is board policy July 25 update.
So this legislative session, we came out with about 44 new legislative laws for schools to implement, the majority of them for this upcoming school year. Some of them will be the following and some are actually 2 years out. And so then that starts our process for board policy. You were given these ahead of time. This is just a first reading tonight. We will note in our minutes that we had a first reading. There's no action to be taken on these at this time. And all of the changes were really just legal requirements, terminology changing, or maybe requirements. If we have to send out a notice, they got more detailed on some of the notices that had to come with the information that had to be put in the notice and those types of things. But you guys were given a summary of those. I didn't do as in-depth of one, my own kind of additional one, because like I said, it was very just basic black and white legal changes and stuff. So, but if you have any questions now, I'd be happy to entertain those, but you're going to see these again before next month as well. And so I can entertain more questions at that time too.
Any questions? Okay.
I'm good.
All right, and no action on that.
Correct.
Okay, next item under personnel fall coaching recommendations.
Okay, so these again were given to you in your packet, and then Jessica provided you an updated copy this evening, and you have 4 asterisks behind some of our volunteers who their background checks haven't came back yet. They are in the process of getting those, so at next month's meeting, we'll be able to approve those once we have the background checks back. The majority of our positions are all remaining the same. Maybe people have kind of switched around a couple of different spots in some of our programs. We are making a couple of changes as far as our soccer program goes. We have enough students now that we're able to offer a boys team and a girls team versus just a co-ed team. And so we did a little bit of restructuring, as was presented in your board packet as well, so that we can have a boys varsity soccer coach along with a boys varsity assistant soccer coach, a girls varsity soccer coach, girls varsity assistant soccer coach. I believe it was last year we expanded the middle school out to boys and girls. And so those are reflected on there as well. And then the other change that we had in our golf program, we run a co-ed golf program in the middle school in the spring, and it's just been a volunteer position. And so Aaron did request this year that we go ahead and make that a paid position as well. This information has been shared with the union as well, alignment there. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to entertain those. You should recognize most of those names because we've not too many changes this year, which is nice.
And several of you are in the room, coaches. Yeah, thank you. It's always nice to see people in our community, taking time. It takes a lot of time to run a good program, develop a good program, and then run a good program. So it's great to see the coaching positions not only filled, but also have a good list of volunteer coaches. That's so encouraging to see that come through. So thank you very much for building and keeping and maintaining good programs.
So you guys keep growing it every year. It seems like bigger and bigger.
And the results never disappoint. I mean, it's just fun every year to watch. So, okay. Do you guys have any questions about? Okay.
So, well, I do have one. So you don't approve, so the ones for the background check, we're not approving those tonight?
You will not approve those, so you will approve the list as presented. And then when Jessica writes out the minutes, she'll make sure that she notes the people who have their background checks approved on here. And then, like I said, next month, the ones who don't have their background checks done, we'll get those ones approved.
Is it necessary to read all these?
It is not.
Okay.
I can if you want me to. It is not necessary that we do because they will be reflected in the minutes, and then you guys will approve the minutes,
Okay.
and those will be posted.
Okay. All right, so I will move that we approve the fall sport coaching recommendations, less the few that are still pending background checks. And I'll entertain a second.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right. Next item on the agenda is the 25-26 non-certified staff pay and substitute pay.
You didn't have anything in your board packet. I gave you a note on this. This is for State Board of Accounts. At this time, we are waiting. This is going to be a negotiations year. And so we are waiting to get through negotiations and get our master teacher contract settled before moving forward with any other raises in the corporation as far as especially our non-certified staff. And so we just need to state that we're starting the beginning of the school year with a status quo for our non-certified staff pay and also our substitute pay. And then if we change that later, once we get through negotiations, then we'll come back, we'll take another action on it, and then everything would be retroactive at that point. But for now, to keep us compliant with State Board of Accounts, we need to give Jessica and Tamara permission to keep everything status quo.
Any questions?
Nope.
So we'll do a motion on that. Okay.
Yes.
I'll entertain a motion to keep 25-26 non-certified staff pay and substitute pay status quo for now.
So moved.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next item under personnel, letter C is the 25-26 bus route rates and drivers.
So the rates are going to be the same as what we just discussed for the non-certified and the sub pay. We're going to hold those as status quo for now. And then you have the driver list in front of you. We have two changes. One is reflected on your sheet. Rachel Graber will be driving bus 3 for us. And then one change is not reflected on your sheet that Jessica will need to make sure we note in the minutes that Kayla Dobson will not be driving bus 12 for us. So when you approve these, Jessica will reflect in the minutes that we are leaving bus 12 open at this time.
Are we searching? Are we looking for
We,
those?
we were just notified today.
Oh, okay.
So,
I haven't talked to my husband, so I was like, what?
yes.
That kind of explains that.
He and I are meeting this week.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
But we do have a plan to get us started.
Okay.
So we'll be good for the start of the school year.
It's funny. Any questions?
Nope. I'm good.
So I just need for you guys to approve the list as presented and noting the change that Kayla Dobson will not be driving bus 12.
Okay. So I will move that we approve the list of bus drivers and rates less the bus 12 route, where Kayla Dobson will be removed from that list.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next item under D is the Transportation Department, additional summer hours.
So whenever we approved our summer hours, we had estimates for them. And so for our summer bus help, we had estimated about 63 hours in labor for them. And they did a little bit of extra deep cleaning on our buses and hit some other areas. And so we undershot that by about 14 and a half hours for each. And so again, to be in compliance with State Board of Accounts, we need for the board to approve that we do have permission to pay them the additional 14 and a half hours above the 63 hours that you already approved. Same rate.
Any questions?
Mhm.
A lot of compliance tonight.
I was saying, all compliance tonight. So we just need to make a motion for that then?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to accept the 14, did you say
14 and
14?
a half additional hours.
Yep.
I'll second that, sorry. Got you,
Yeah, so I'll probably abstain from this. All in favor?
Oh, yeah, I didn't think about that. Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And I will abstain, yeah. Anything doing with transportation, I'm
Yes,
not
ma'am.
comfortable
That works.
voting.
That
So,
works.
I mean, the bus drivers I did, but not something that has to do with pay, so.
Mhm.
Okay, all right. Next item on the agenda is end of employment.
Mhm. So we have a letter of resignation from Jenna Stahl, elementary teacher for us. And again, it's a bittersweet one that we hate to see Jenna go. She's a wonderful asset to our classroom, to our staff, to our students, but at the same time, very, very happy for Jenna as well. She's going to be spending more time with her family, and I think that's a blessing to be able to do that. So we thank Jenna for her time, and then we also wish her the very best as she gets to raise her babies.
Yes. Any questions?
It's gonna get busier for her anyways. In the very near future. No questions.
Okay. I'll move that we accept the resignation of Jenna Stahl and entertain a second.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next item on the agenda is new employment.
Okay, so for new employment then, we have two. We have elementary teacher to replace Jenna. We have Tara Lonecker, who we are recommending to replace Jenna in our 4th grade elementary position. She comes to us with 23 years of experience, and she does have extensive experience with reading recovery. She has spent time in intervention spots. She's also done primary grades as well, so strong foundational reading components that go along with that. That's always very key to have in a 4th grade classroom, because a lot of times when they get to 4th grade, the curriculum doesn't always provide those supports for the teachers. So to have a background with that to help some of our kiddos who need that, that's always very beneficial. So we are excited to have Tara with us. And then also food service cook, we had a position become vacant at the end of the school year, and we are recommending to replace that with Cheyenne Birch. This will be a part-time position listed as 5 hours per day, so 25 hours per week. And so you have all of that information in your board packet as the offer letters were presented.
We'll do them individually.
You can do them individually or you can do them together, however you prefer.
So I'll entertain a motion to approve Tara Lonecker as an elementary teacher and also Cheyenne Birch as a food service cook.
So moved.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes. Good. It's good to be able to fill the position. Okay. Next item on the agenda is continued employment.
So we have Mrs. Anita Hart, who teaches middle school and high school English for us, and Again, we're very fortunate to have her experience with us, and she's in a little bit of a unique situation with us, and she is a retired teacher. She just kind of comes on each year as she wants to continue doing it. So we just continue our agreement with her each year for that. The board approves the agreement, the CTA sign off on the agreement for her, and then we have it on record for that. So that's what we're asking for you to do this evening. Jeff and Aaron love having her. I know the staff love having her. The kids do as well. So we're very thankful to have Mrs. Anita Hart.
What grade level is she teaching?
So she moves around. I want to say this year it was going to be 8th grade, 7th or 8th grade ELA. She has done high school for us as well. I think each year she's taught a different grade for us. She's
nice.
Yeah, she's been very flexible with us and stuff. But yeah, that was the last that I did hear. That's where she was going to go.
Okay. So, I guess we need to approve her.
Yeah, her continued employment, the MOU agreement that we have in place.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to approve the MOU for continued employment for teacher Anita Hart.
I'll make a motion to accept Anita Hart for those in that position.
I'll second. All in favor? Aye. Okay, and then last item under personnel is permission for Andrea Hack to fill vacancies prior to the start of school.
We do this every year, just in case we would have something come up right before the start of the school year. That way we can have somebody in place and we can have things continuing. It would be a case where I would always be notifying you. You would be in the loop on all of it, and then we would just formally approve it in August. So, fingers crossed, we don't have to use that one, and we should now be fully staffed. So, but you never know. Minus the one bus driver.
We're going to deny all others.
It's been an interesting few months. Last few months.
We're getting our process down though. Very well.
It's good. Okay, so we need to do that. Okay, so I will entertain a motion to grant you permission to fill vacancies prior to start of school.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Okay, next item is superintendent report.
Okay, a few things for you this evening. One is the one that I feel redundant because you hear the same thing every single year, but you have your budget calendar in front of you as outlined. And we are getting close. Our August 19th meeting is when we'll really kind of kick off the formal side of the budget process, where we're requesting permission to advertise our 2026 budget. And then, like I said, in order to get that process started, I will have to put these dates in on Gateway. So it's easier now to make changes before we do that. So if you have any conflicts with this, just let me know. The ones highlighted in yellow are the ones that I do need to have all three of you present for those. So you can let me know separately if there are any conflicts with those. Then I wanted to present to you a back to school overview, just some of our highlights. The first day of school is going to be Wednesday, August the 6th. Elementary is starting at 8 a.m. and middle high school begins at 8:05, as it has for the past few years. Our student online registration opened today in Harmony, 10 o'clock. I would really like to be able to pull a report to see how many clicks we had right at 10 o'clock. Lots of kiddos getting in to see who they have for their teacher and see their schedules. And then we will have in-person registration as well on Thursday from 12 to 5 p.m. We will have staff available to assist families with online forms. If anyone needs a computer to use, we will have that available. We do all of our registering through Harmony, our student management system. Lunch accounts are handled through Link. That is all staying the same. When we do our registration, we do encourage our families to update all of their contact information so that we have accurate information for our students, because that feeds our ParentSquare system, and that is what we're going to be using again this year as our communication tool to be able to get our information out. We will still send out emails and share things on social media as well, but we went to ParentSquare last year and had a lot of good success with that going through. So we'll continue with that. Our bus routes, they've started working on them, but we have to wait till we have all registrations to make sure we have all of our addresses completed. So they've worked very quickly to get those turned around for us. And then we will have Meet the Teacher Night on Monday, August the 4th from 5 to 6:30 for the elementary to come in, bring their supplies. But we also have the rest of the building open too. If any of the middle school, high school kids want to come in, get their things put in their lockers, go look and see where their classrooms are at, those types of things. So always a fun night. If we have any students with medications, the nurses will be here as well, and they can get those turned into them. And then 2 other pieces that I wanted to make you aware of as we start the school year. We are going to have Mrs. Jessica Graber, who teaches our upper elementary special education classes. Even though she's a co-op employee, I did just want to make you aware that she will be out on maternity leave under FMLA, and Nicole Knepp will be her sub for the start of the school year. And then we are going to have another maternity leave for under FMLA. And so that is going to be Mrs. Brooke Betts, and she is going to return in October, and Akila Ryder, Akila Knepp, she's going to be her sub as well. So just giving you awareness that we're going to have those 2 kind of longer subs in the building to start the school year. So they will be very good, and we're very thankful to have them as well. We are always blessed to have wonderful subs to come in and help with our students. And I hear other schools talking about how difficult it is to find them. So we're always very, very thankful when we can find them. So those are my back to school updates for you.
Very good. Okay, next item on the agenda is board comments. You may have any. Okay.
Thanks for everybody coming.
And then item 8, other questions or items for the board from patrons. Who wants to go first? Okay. Back row.
We just come to
Okay. If you'll stand and like introduce yourself, that'd be great.
I'll go first, I guess.
Okay, sure.
My name is Justin Wilson. I'm the boys varsity soccer coach. And so we started this soccer program in 2018, and we have grown it from 2 teams to 5. And we now have a girls varsity, a high school level, and a boys varsity. And so since 2018, we've talked with superintendents about the future of it and what it looks like, and having a new soccer field. And we knew off the bat that it was going to have a track with it as well. And so I guess my concern is just the pace of it. We've been patiently waiting, and I know these guys have been waiting twice as long as we have, because you guys have been in it since 2011, somewhere around there. 2012.
For track.
And, I feel like, we were patiently waiting and starting to see some progress, and things are moving along. But at some point, I feel like I'm doing my players a disservice when I don't come here and express my concern for the pace of these projects. We've, just during my time, I know we've watched countless projects for other sports start, finish, move on. A year goes by, 2 years go by, and we're still kind of in the shadow. At least we feel that way. And so I know that, we finally purchased land, and I think that's great, but, it feels like it's just getting stagnant again. And, hearing that it's just in the hands of lawyers, and this has been going on since a year ago, and not much progress is being made. I'm just wondering, what can we do to speed any of this up? I mean, you guys probably have some seniors this year. We don't have any, but I'm concerned for the juniors. Are they even going to see this playing field? And I know how long a project takes to construct, and once you get the green light, it's going to take some time. We've got to grow grass and, get all the little things. I know you guys will be able to run on a track right away, but I guess that's my concern, is just the timing and what can be done to speed anything up. You know, right now we have roughly about 100 kids in our program from middle school through high school. We have 10 coaches or so. We have countless parents and, you know, kind of our middle school board members for the soccer program involved. And, you know, right now we're in a pretty bad situation because, and we haven't really dealt with this too much before, but our fields are underwater. And then a mowing crew came out from Antioch and mowed over all that water. So now there's ruts with city water. So we are just, you know, trying to practice in a gym, trying to practice on a parking lot. And I know these guys don't want to hear that because they've been practicing on parking lots for 14 years. But it's just not the same. It's not good enough. It's like taking your basketball team out to a soccer field to practice basketball. You can't really do it. It's not going to prepare us for a season. And I'm at the point now where I'm thinking, what's going to happen if our season rolls around and we have standing water on our field? Are we even going to be able to host games? And if we had a facility in place now, I mean, we could squeeze in all 5 teams. Someplace that had proper drainage and so forth. But I know it's, I just know that we're hesitant to put any money into Antioch because Barr-Reeve doesn't own it. But I mean, we would love to put some drainage tiles and stuff in there. I know that if they sell it, that's money lost, but I mean, we have 100 kids who are itching to play and we're having to cancel practice. We're having to find a gym or some outdoor space, and it's not working for us right now. So I know that we would love an update on the project. I know some of us know some things about it, but I don't think everyone here knows all the details about where it stands right now. So I don't know if you guys want to address that before, or do you guys want to speak?
We're kind of in the same boat. I mean, yeah, I don't know who might need a boat. But anyway, because the cross-country course is in the same boat as that. There's a hayfield that's behind the cross-country course, and, you know, they have to get in there to the hay, but we got a trench across the cross-country course right now that's going to have to be fixed for a couple of weeks. And so anyway, yeah, just that. And I just piggyback on what, I forgot to say, I'm Susie Graber, cross country and track. But just the fact of just kind of having an update. We were here 2 years ago, you know, and we know last year that the land got purchased. It from there on out, we just haven't had any updates on the status of where that is. And just as Justin said, you know, that's a low-lying land also, so we know that there's, even before getting that, there's going to have to be tile work or something done to make that suitable. And we've had 80 kids between the junior high and high school. So between our 2 programs, there's 180 kids that we're trying our best to give them our best. I mean, we are, but this past season we had several. It's just heartbreaking to us that 4th place finishes, 3rd place is what advances out to regional, which is an actual semi-state level in track. And it's non-class sport. And so for them to be that close, and it's just a matter of like not being on the track every day, like getting a handoff or a bad handoff, or we have kids that are frustrated by that. And, you know, what more can we do to give them? Because doing handoffs or on a track, you can't simulate that in the parking lot. You can't do it in the hallways. You can't do it anywhere else. And the same with our field events, you know, Cody kids. And our kids have been breaking school records that are legit, that would hold records against anyone in this state. Play sports, you know, sometimes, and that's like, there's a kick plate at the end of the ring, you know, that you have to have. So you can throw shot and disc all you want, but that's not going to get the technique of going around and stuff. So you know, and it is frustrating that 14 years, you know, that we've been doing this and we had 2 people start out with 2 kids, and now we're at 80, you know, and we're also trying to to find coaches and volunteers. I don't know if this is time to ask that too, but I'm aware that like some junior high programs have assistant paid positions, and our junior high program, is large too. So that's something Aaron had mentioned about that. I haven't talked to him recently about that, but if that's something that we could possibly give some additional help down there, because especially with us not having a place, we have some kids that maybe they're at their root tender, throwing, and then some maybe at the campground, because it's a different sport that you got sprints, you got throws, you got jumps, and we can't, if we had a track, we could keep eye on all of them, but having just 2 people is still a little bit shy of trying to keep track of where all these kids are and to be able to give them the attention that they need with that. But, so we're very disserviced not having our own facility. It's been great to go to other schools that have been kind enough to allow us to be there. Washington was great. They built a new track, but they dug up all their field events, so we have nowhere to do the field events. Our pole vault kids, they're paying for private lessons, to do that, but they're traveling also. So if we just had that, it would just, and we have kids that are going on. I was just trying to think here, Ellie went and she's up at IU doing great up there. Annette is,
I took the stats, I got them down.
okay.
We have 9, I'm Jody Neff, and I also coach varsity track and field and cross country, but we've had, and Susie and I kind of wrote down, I think I remember offhand, but we've been coaching since 2012 and since 2025, so that's 12 years, right? 12 years. In that 12 years, we have 9 athletes that went to the state level in a no-class sport. And that just speaks volumes for the athletes that they are. Obviously, Susie and I put a lot of time and effort, and we've had a lot of coaches come along and do that. In the college level, we've had seven that went on to the college level. That there could have been more to go on if they wanted to. But, and I'm just thinking about Natalie, really Abby and Ellie, they went in things in field events that we don't even have. So I sit there and think if they had those, things to practice on every day, just like she said, we had a lot of 4th place finishes, and even at the regional level, it takes that top 3 to get to state. And Chloe's senior year, because she will tell you, she said it's because she didn't get to practice blocks every day. She missed going to state by 1/100 of a 10th of a second as a senior. And so that was just heartbreaking as her mom, as her coach, to see that, because, if she would have got to do that, I'm thinking, I see Mr. McCain back there, Nolan, exceptional athlete. If he would have had more time to practice on long jump and get his steps down and stuff like that, I feel like he also could have made it to the state level, and he did really well in indoor state and he made podium. But just not having those things for those athletes, it's heartbreaking. Like she said, Washington, we were going there, we were using their long jump, we were using their high jump, and then they took it away. And with that being said, track is such a short season, we always have to wait till other teams get done. So while North Davis and Lagodi would let us come, we still have to wait till they're done with practice, and you lose daylight. And so then we have nowhere to really for those field day kids to practice. So we try to do a lot of indoor so they can get that experience. But yeah, it's just, not having those facilities. So again, I know it's a long, like Justin said, I mean, I'm thinking 2-3 years out when it gets started, before even anything is able to be accomplished on there. And so if that's the case, I would suggest for us, and I don't know what soccer would suggest, but if we can have a place to put a long jump pit in, and we can get a high jump pit that we can put inside that these kids can practice, because we just don't have a place for them to do that unless we can work out something with another track. And we've tried that, and so far it's not worked. So I don't know. Those are some suggestions. And like she said, we have kids that are doing pole vault lessons, but those are the, some of those jumping events. If they don't get reps on the board, and they don't get, and hurdling. I mean, we have hurdlers, people going over hurdles in the parking lot. I mean, I've had several kids fall, and then they bust up a knee. You don't want to see that. The other thing is we've had our fair share of stress fractures, of shin splints, and I think that's running on the roads and running in the hallways, that they're not on a surface that is proper for that. And we've also asked to take our kids into the hitting facility like a few years ago, and we were told no, just for them to be able to do dynamics so we don't have stress fractures and those things. So, right, we were just wanting to use the turf for that, so if there's another option that we could get on some softer surface for the next couple of years till we get a facility, I'm just trying to think, if we're not gonna have anything for 2-3 years, like, we need something now. We need something for these kids to be able to practice on now versus showing up at a meet and it's the first time they're going to the long jump board and they're like, okay, we're just gonna guess your steps, or high jump or whatnot.
And it's a short time. So essentially, I'm just thinking like what Nolan like amazingly did. He did that through season. That was his practice, was those maybe 6, 7, 8 meets, before we get into postseason. And yeah, it's just, he did great. I'm not taking anything away, but it's just like, if we could give them what they really need to practice, like, we could have team, nobody can look in that, but into Chris Paul and say that for sure, but we know, like, just their capability and the time spent with that they could, and that was kind of an issue 2 years ago when we was here, of saying that. It was just like, we have this number of kids, and we don't know where exactly to go with all of them, to give them that. And so, yeah, I piggyback that with Jody, and just how do we get those things executed? Because that's kind of, it just seems to us that we're saying this stuff, but then there's, projects that weren't even on the projects when we've asked for this stuff, and then other things get executed and finished. So I don't know. We just want to have some movement and keep the ball rolling, not like we rolled it here and now we stopped, So I guess that's.
It's to assure you, it's definitely not stopped, but the projects that we've been approving or doing in the school basically have been, it's not, when we're doing those projects too, you guys are still being talked about, even though, you don't see a lot of actions yet, but a lot of times, a lot of the things we're still waiting on. And I think Andrea addressed that with, like when you reached out to Andrea this week, and she had addressed, things that we have to wait on legally wise, and just getting approval to do some of the things. It doesn't get it done any quicker for the kids. And, I had a daughter that didn't do as well as some of the, but she done very well too. But it was, like you said, it is disheartening to see the kids to have those abilities and fall short at times. But the accomplishments that they've achieved, they're definitely great accomplishments. But it's definitely not falling on deaf ears. We definitely, even though other projects are moving on, that seems like it's
So
falling
I guess
stagnant.
my question is, what is the difference between the legalities? I know this is like a brand new project, but what is that difference between this project and the other ones getting done? Is it because you already have
Dollars. So like, I'm looking at this project, and we have run into some hiccups as far as getting access to the land we bought, but it hasn't slowed down our timeline for this project yet. Now, it may if it keeps dragging, but we are keeping the ball rolling so that as soon as that hiccup gets done, we're ready to move forward. But the biggest reason why it hasn't slowed down the timing of our project yet is because financially we knew we wouldn't be ready for this size of project until this date. So like the other projects getting done on athletic are 8% the size of this project. This project will balloon what we did with the gym, the expansion of the school. It's just an expensive project, but we want to get it done because anytime I'm out talking to other people in the community, this is like the shining metal right now of our athletic program. This soccer and track program is just something that the community is proud about. You guys have had such a huge part in getting it off the feet and getting to where it is. It's huge for our school. So that's why we want to get it done, even though the size of it is huge dollar-wise. We just got to make sure we got all of our ducks in a row financially to make sure we're ready to get started and do it right.
Not to rush it and find out we done something, we rush it too quickly. it's not done the correct way.
So what is the timeline? You said you have a timeline. What is that timeline?
When I talk with track parents, I'd always said that this current year's junior class would be able to run on it their senior year. Well, that's kind of what we've been shooting for with the track. Now, it would push, the soccer wouldn't be until the fall, that following fall there. But that was kind of always our timeline that we were on, and that we're still shooting for.
So you're like saying August 2026 then?
That's our goal. And we can't promise anything,
Right.
but that's kind of what we've been shooting for the last few years, to kind of have it on that trajectory.
Yes, and we don't want a project that's done wrong, but I didn't know, like, I don't know what the grand scale of what the project is actually, if it's just, or if it can be like implemented, like, okay, without concession stands, without stands, but we have the track and we can have the soccer field. Like, is there steps that you could do it that way versus like, because I don't know if that like still includes like the little baseball field. I've heard all kinds of things and stuff for what that. So I didn't know, like, when you say this grand scale project, what is all involved in that project?
The main piece of it is the groundwork.
Okay.
I'm looking at a budget on it there, and site work, utilities, the track itself, those things make up about 45% of the total estimate on there. So yeah, a lot of it in the ground, obviously, but we got that piece taken care of on there. So we may have to approach it in steps but we would love to do it all at once as well.
Yeah.
That's kind of was our original goal, and to make sure we're ready to do that financially. And I don't want to be speaking out of turn. if anybody else
No,
wants
you
to.
are fine. You are absolutely right. One of the largest portions of the project from a financial standpoint is going to be the groundwork. There's quite a bit of excavation that needs to take place on the ground. There's a very large slope as you move from east to west on that ground back there. And how projects are controlled as far as, in order for a school, they want to ensure that you show transparency. And so you have to be very careful on how you split projects up. And so, because they don't ever want it to be that, well, you did a piece of it and you sold it this way, but your real intention was to do all this. So then you came back later and did it. They really, if it goes together, there are options that you can do as far as maybe not putting in the stands right away, because those can be very expensive for a large grandstand that goes with it. You might put the outside structure for the concession stand, but maybe you only on the inside do the furnishings for the restrooms and maybe a locker area, something like that. You can have some small areas like that. The other big ticket item that's going to come along with it is building the road to get back to it. And I actually had a meeting with our attorney today, and that's one of the pieces that we're still in negotiations on, is just even what weight limit that road is going to be able to carry and stuff, because that changes the price of it considerably. And so it about tripled on us instead of what the request was for that. So we're working through those pieces as well. There are things that we can do. And again, this is what the board was sharing. They're not things that you can see. It's not equipment being brought in. It's not ground being moved. I mean, I know everyone feels better when you start to see those things taking place 100%. But we're working on our budget right now. I had referenced that earlier for 26. And so we have a proposed debt amount that we would be collecting in 26. That's being built into our budget right now so that we are prepared to do that. The board has a board training this Thursday with legal counsel, with a construction company, and also the financial company as well, to sit and make sure that we have all of our options laid out ahead of us as far as what we can do as far as going and selling bonds. There are things you can do. You can get permission to sell bonds ahead of time, and then you don't actually sell them until you're ready. Because if we can't actually get access to the road or to the land back there, we don't want to go and actually sell the bonds. But we can do things to have the permissions and have all of those legal parts ready. Again, we have a construction company that we've worked with in the past. They're getting all of our estimates put together. They're giving all of the information. They're taking drones out there, and they're flying drones because we can't drive through what we need to drive through to get back there to actually do all of the groundwork and testing that they need. We have an excavation company who's working again, like I said, with the drones to get back out there and get all of that so that we can make sure that our drawings, that we're positioning things in the right place so we get the drainage right. Having to look at things, retaining walls. Are we going to use retaining walls, or is there a way that we can shift things? And if we shift it this way and move this piece over here, then that helps with our drainage piece, and we don't have to put the retaining walls in. Retaining walls are very expensive. And so we're trying to like get all of those things worked out. Again, it's kind of like whenever you do an upgrade on something and you are, putting money in an HVAC system or something, you don't get to see the results right away from it. You get the benefits of it on the other side, but you don't get to see it right away. So there is a lot of work still taking place in the background so that we are ready to go if we can. I know that doesn't always make you feel better because, like I said, we want to see dirt and stuff. I want to see you guys back there. I want to see kids back there. I want to go back there. We have great ideas for what can be back there and everything. So you are heard. I know that doesn't always help, but you are heard.
And you guys have done a great job building the programs, which actually got us to this point to get people to approve or even consider. I know back, my girls were in junior high. Soccer was not even a thought sport to have at Barr-Reeve. So, and track same way. It was very small. So you guys have done a great job of building the programs to where they are now. So.
Yeah, go ahead, Brett.
Is there a way to get dirt out there to the soccer fields to get all that built up a little bit, maybe to help out here for them? So that way it'll settle before soccer time?
You mean where
the refs currently are.
Yeah, because maybe get that started now, get it grassed and, get it set up for them. That way it'll sit for 4 or 5 months and settle down.
Yeah, I was going to say, just going to piggyback on what you say. I was just going to thank everyone for being here, and just the fact that you guys came and gave, some ideas for your immediate needs, maybe to get through until that is so beneficial to us as a board because, I don't know those things. I don't know that there's water out. I go to Antioch, but I don't walk out in the field, and I don't have a child that plays soccer. So, I don't know what the answer is in terms of tiling that to get some drainage out there. But it's at least things that maybe are some ideas. And we've had a good relationship with Antioch in terms of, even their facility, like helping with the rock, because we have buses that go out there regularly. So I feel like we have obviously we don't put a lot of money into that. And I'm not speaking for Antioch. I do attend there, but I think the relationship has always been good. And because the church leadership has allowed us to use their facility, I think we've had a good working relationship in the past in terms of being reasonable on what we should pay for and what they should pay for. So, that's something that we can look at. And also just, it's beneficial to know, there's no pit for long jump, high jump. So it's like, okay, this is an immediate need. So, I think it takes maybe putting some heads together on how can we make this happen where we can get these immediate things resolved and maybe at least, not that we want to put off what's going on, but at least be able to take care of some needs that are like right away. So, we hear you and we appreciate you, and thank you very much for taking your time and coming and, sharing with us not only your concerns about, what's taking place in an update, but also how we can help take care of these programs.
I just have a couple more questions. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
go ahead. Yeah, no, you're fine. Go ahead.
Just in that, like you just talking about, you have companies, are they, and I don't mean this as any disrespect or just whatever, but are they familiar specific to like soccer and track? Because we have been to some facilities that have built new tracks, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like you did this, but you did it wrong. Like there's an outside lane at one of them, that there is a fence literally right on the outside lane. So there's no way they can post anything because if a hurdler is going, you can't use that line to hurdle because they're going to be crashing into that fence. you know, or versus the same way of like, where it's soccer, how the tiling and drainage and, you know, all that. And, you know, if we would, I know that this is down the road, but I guess those are things to be considered too. And then this track, as far as like the surface needs to cure and stuff, so it needs to be done like in warm weather, like, so you don't want to do that. And like, I'm no expert construction person on that, but just that things like that aren't like overlooked, you know, and stuff, that they are specific to whatever the soccer needs, or vice versa, like they have a soccer field and you don't want a long jump pit that they're falling off in and they're breaking ankles or something like that. Just the design layout. I don't know who's doing that, but just to be specific that
We'll put the visiting team on that side.
but that they are expert or have that experience, because you can know how to build things, but not know sports and how that they actually work, or not having I guess, to run 2 miles to a throwing pit or whatever too. But with those short-term things too, like if a high jump pit is bought, that's something that could still be used. You know what I mean? Like that, it wouldn't be wasted, like, oh, you build it here and now you gotta rebuild a new one. Like those equipment pieces could be used still later, whenever the track would be open.
It's good to know.
So
Right,
actually, if you guys could make a list of those things you guys see at other soccer fields or tracks that we could take, you know, to the engineers or who's gonna, I mean, at least we can address it at the time we talk to them.
Is, real quick, because originally, like, when Travis was still here, they talked about doing a soccer field outside the track. Are we now talking about doing a soccer field inside the track, or you guys have, like, I guess, what that is looking like?
Inside the track.
A practice field inside the
I
track?
think
So-
the game field was outside the track.
Okay,
Yes, we were, hoping to have both and stuff, and that's part of what they're working through as far as the grade of the land, that there would be soccer space inside, soccer space outside, but then also there would still be plenty of space to have all of the field events where they need to be placed appropriately as well. And so right now, a lot of that is just coming down to the lay of the land and making sure not only that it fits, but you also have to have enough runoff on the outside of it to make sure that everything drains properly and stuff for it. So they're going through all of that. Obviously, when we get to that stage, you guys will all be sitting at the table. And you'll give input and you'll be right now, we just don't have anything concrete enough to be able to get to those details yet. Like, those are the fun ones.
yeah.
Those are the fun details. And then, like I said, when we get to see equipment, we get to see ground moving and all that stuff.
And I think we all are aware, I mean, that takes time to do that, but that is important to get that right, or else it's not gonna be right on top, because there is another track that they built and like water's all draining into the long jump pit. So like, it's just,
I don't want that.
those are things like just, you know, and if there would be, you know, like we do automatic timing for meets if we want to host that, you know, to be able to have something on the track so there's not wires running across, you know, and athletes tripping. I don't know. They're just, but yeah. Just want to make sure,
Yeah.
like, to be good use of what the money is and not spend money and then it's not usable, I guess, would be my all concerns. I guess the other question is how often, are we following up with the attorneys? Like, I know that that's something that, like, what's at the attorneys like, but are we following up with them to hold them accountable to not putting us on the back burner either? I guess is my question.
Very frequently.
You know their pace.
What'd you say?
You know what pace they draw.
I know, but I just asked the question.
It's a good question. It is, yeah. And it
What
is,
did the attorney say today? I mean, as far as, does he see this getting resolved anytime soon, or is this gonna be?
So the one piece that they took the road, we had proposed a 26,000 pound capacity road on there, and then it got raised to an 80,000 pound capacity road, which that changes a lot of your subsurface and the number of layers that you have to have in and the materials that you use in order to build that road. And so the next step, I got a hold of the contracting company that we're working with, and I've asked them to give us the delta between 26,000 pound road, 80,000 pound road, and let's start seeing where that's at. And so that's the next step that is going to be taken back to the other set of attorneys is, this is what you're asking. the school to pay in addition, and let's go through and talk reasonably about what that actual ask is and stuff. I will tell you that we started off with several items, and we're down to this and stuff.
Just
And
the
so we've checked off a lot of boxes as far as being able to get back there, and a lot of things that we've gone through back and forth. This is kind of our last one, that I see anyways.
So Helena's still gonna have a spot back there.
Yes.
Are they gonna have chemicals and things
No,
back there that were?
there's a truck scales back there. But that's the reason that they have to have the 25,000, the 25 ton limit, because there's still a truck scales back there. But I was told that that was on the table back in April. I mean, my branch manager said that he was notified of that back in April, so, I mean, it's almost August now.
We got the notification Friday is when it came through on our end.
So I'm just trying to think outside the box. Has anybody thought about just trying to find a different road or making another road?
We
Like,
have,
okay,
so we've talked with the town as well about how we could potentially use plots of land that were, I guess they're deemed alleys in a sense. They've not really been constructed for that. But to do part of that, we could use part of our parking lot. The road that we actually use, when you come down Railroad Street and you turn into our parking lot where our buses go, that is actually owned by the town as well. It's a road, but they said that they would have no problems with us crossing over that. But then there's some other housing that's there. And so then we would have to get a workaround to go behind that. And then you get into, basically, we would end up running parallel with Helena's road there. And we would have to do a lot of groundwork as far as cutting out into that bank that's there in order to get back there. If you can use the road that's already there, it's going to be much more cost effective. There's already a surface that is started there. The other one, you're doing several, and they're all brand new roads that you have to build and stuff. But the town has been very accommodating, so we had a meeting with them as well. And we did that before we purchased the land. And we did that in order, we didn't want to purchase land and then not be able to get to it. And so we said, if we can't get to it, like, could we do this? And they said, yes, they would be willing to work with us on that.
So the original proposal with the 26,000 pound weight limit, is that realistic with the equipment and the weight that will be needed just to even get the equipment back there to do the dirt work and construction? And
I have been told that it is. I'm not an expert on that, and that's where we're having to trust what they're telling us as far as that. The other pieces, I do have a phone call into Chris Winkler to see Railroad Street, what grade was that actually constructed at when they did the bridge project, to be able to find out kind of what is that built out. And then, maybe since we already have that piece, because everything's going to be driving over that to begin with, would we be able to continue that piece on as we go further? And I just want to say for the record, like, it's not local Helena that we're dealing with by any means. It's corporate, it's their corporate attorney, it's our bigger attorney that we use for these things, and they're the ones talking and stuff on that. So I didn't want you to think when we, it's not local.
I knew that it was local, but I don't know that everybody else does, so.
so just a few more comments, if you don't mind. I'm Lauren Wilson. I also help with the soccer program. First and foremost, huge thank you to Antioch. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. They have been phenomenal to work with. And anyone else that we've worked with too. I mean, Wagler Lawn Service has been amazing. I can text him the beginning of a week and Justin will be all over, getting the lawns mowed, just so that game night, everything's in as perfect shape as it can be. With that being said, clearly with all of the water and things that we've had, I'm actually going to ask Justin to please send the pictures of the two visuals that we have so that you can see it. It's last season, our field, I thought next season it's going to be so good. And we are really not even as well as we were last season. With that being said, do I think tiling is something that is realistic for the field that we have now? Absolutely not. There's no way that we're going to be able to lay tiling on a field, on property that we don't own, digging it up, then replanting. I mean, that just doesn't make sense. luckily, Ryan, reached out to us. He coaches our middle school team. He said he has a decent sized roller. He could possibly roll the field, and that might be ideal. I would like to ask that he could possibly be compensated at some minute rate to do that for us and hopefully have it back in playing order when it does dry out. And I think the rolling needs to happen when it's all wet so that it does compact. As far as bringing dirt in for this season, I don't think that would be particularly helpful because the grass is already planted and things like that. We did have a little bit of field maintenance go on earlier this spring or really summer, right? And we were shocked that we could get grass to grow, but who would have guessed that we had as wet of a July as we've had? I think really, and just thinking about the next steps for the road, how can we help? Like, if we know that there's anything that could be done locally, if we can get people involved that have equipment, people involved that have construction knowledge. I've got several contacts through the Washington projects that they've already got a lot of deep knowledge of field building and all of that stuff. So in addition to the group that's been fundraising for the soccer program in Washington, I think the resources are there, but if we don't know what is needed, we can't help. And we would like to help and we would like to work together. We're not trying to make this more difficult than it needs to be. And I would be lying if I would say we're not starting to get impatient.
You guys want to address any of that or anything?
Well, the impatience, I can understand that. It's just, it's been several years. Track's been several years, soccer's been several years. So, but just to let you guys know, hopefully we've, illustrated that you guys aren't not talked about, or the project's definitely talked about, but usually it's behind the doors or behind the scenes that a lot of people don't see. So it's definitely talked about. It's definitely discussed, and we're trying to move as quick as we're basically being allowed to, with all the steps we got to take to get to that point.
So right now, just so that we understand the issue with the road and going back and forth between the 26,000 pounds and the 80,000 pounds, that's with corporate. And so once we come to agreement, will there be multiple people willing to put funds into that road since it's a multi-use? Or is that expected to fully be funded by the school system?
By the school corporation.
And that's part of our budget that we had planned on there. We had 26,000 kind of in the budget. And so what Andrea is doing is we're trying to work to see if there's any room to help us with that if it needs to be more. But again, that's not necessarily having slowed down the project yet. If it drug on, it might. But at this point, probably what has quote unquote slowed down the project yet is that we knew we weren't going to be financially ready for the project yet at this point. So we've been putting things in place so that when we're ready for that, we can move. And hopefully this road won't be still lingering out there when we're ready to move on that.
I think possibly therein lies some of the misunderstanding, because my understanding was that we were trying to get the junior class, who is the junior class coming in this season, to be playing on it their senior year. And my understanding was that that was a big reason as to why some of that ground was sold, because it was from one of the families of a current junior who is playing on the soccer team. And so, if that was the plan all along for it to be the year after, it just, as far as transparency, miscommunication, misunderstanding on my part, et cetera, I think that is where the frustration comes in. And again, I'm not trying to dig my heels in and, you know, my side, your side, whatever, we're all a team. But just, you know, the next steps, and is it possible that we have notice of when you get that figure as far as the delta between the two projects? And is there any way that we can help fundraise? Or, I mean, seriously, we want to help.
I appreciate that, and there are going to be plenty of opportunities. I definitely see us having a task team coming together when we get to that point. Because again, you guys are the experts when it comes to track fields and soccer fields, and I am not going to sit and pretend to be the expert on that by any means and stuff. And so your opinions will be needed. They will be wanted greatly on that. Again, that's the thing, learning a lot about excavation and how just different things work with the construction process as well. So it definitely takes a team to put those things together 100%.
I have Jenny McWilliams. I have kids that are in track and soccer. I just want to so our current juniors, you don't see them playing on a soccer field before they graduate here at this school.
Currently, that does not look like that's going to be the timetable for it. The earliest that we can move is that we would be able to get permission in calendar year 25 to be able to sell bonds. If we had the land or like the road piece in place, then we would be able to go ahead and potentially move forward with the selling of the bonds. But then you're moving into, you're doing all of that by the winter time. And so you're looking at, when you roll into 26, you're going to have to wait until the spring would be the earliest that anything would be able to, thaw out and all of that stuff to be able to start any kind of construction from that point moving forward. And again, that is the earliest, just that even legally we are allowed to move with things forward.
Legally, if we went through bonds, is what you're saying, correct? So if fundraising were to occur outside of bonds, is that an option?
I would love to know who your fundraising contacts are.
When I say this project dwarfs anything we've done, it is, when I say that this project dwarfs what we have done before, you think about fundraising for the project we took on with the extension of the school there. That's the kind of project, plus now some of that's inflation that we did that many years ago, but it's a substantial project that we're, as a community, wanting to fund, but we want to make sure that we're in a position to do so correctly. But yes, we would definitely love fundraising. If we can meet that with fundraising, we would.
Is there no options to get grants for something like this? If a school, I don't know what kind of grants are out there, but I know.
We've looked into a few. We've not been able to be successful with meeting the requirements for them. Trying to sell it a little bit too, as not only seeing it just as a track program, but also, we don't have a lot of sidewalks in our community and stuff. So could it be a place where it could serve a community purpose as well? So we are continuing to pursue some opportunities like that, but we haven't been successful in those.
I would, just knowing, I'm in Davis County, that side of Lagodi, that there's, that track gets used by the community quite a bit as well and stuff. So I'm certain that your PE classes and all that, it's not going to be just utilized by, and I'm sure that goes the same with the soccer fields and all that.
I will tell you, IU basketball, Ellie was up there for practice the other day, and the new coach had those players out on the track. So it's for every sport.
Yeah.
And so it's not just track fields.
So if you come across a grant like that, send it our way. Like I said, we've tried to pursue a few, and like I said, we didn't just quite meet all of the requirements for them, but we would be more than happy to look into that as well.
So just to clarify on that, the road that's going to be back, it would just be Helena and Barr-Reeve, or is it part of Montgomery also, like city? Is it so, like, it's going to be a public use, like the sides, or is that who's gonna just,
So as far as the road goes, Helena owns the property, and that's part of what we're putting in as far as the easement agreement, is that it would be used for people going back to this, back to the track for use of the track back there, and the soccer field that would be back there as well. So it would not be considered a public access road going back there, but we're working it in to where we can get access to it back there so that people would be able to go back. You know, if you, you want to take your child up and you want to go practice back there and stuff, that it's not deemed just for event time, that, you know, we can go back there and do things like that. You know, that's part of what we're working through too, is making sure that we have the right fencing to go in back there. We have the right turnarounds for their trucks and their equipment that they have that goes back there, that we have the right size of gates to put in, that we get the gates marked at the right spot. We have lighting that goes back there as well. We're trying to be very mindful, knowing that this is Helena's property and we are going to be sending traffic back there as well. And so we want to make sure that we're a good neighbor and that we're keeping everybody safe. And, you know, we don't want, a lot of times at events and stuff like that, you have younger siblings and stuff who are off playing and stuff. We want to make sure that they're protected too. So we have everything just from both sides going back there.
And I'll just put in there too, I mean, we're all taxpayers, the school district, so when she says back and forth, I mean, we're not just bowing down, because Helena's obviously gonna get used to this road too. And no disrespect, I know you work there, again, we're talking corporate, but I mean, I was on a call with Andrea, with the attorneys, and they were asking for us to do everything. And that's not fair to us, because part of this weight limit thing is really to appease them to be able to go back to the truck scales. That's part of the issue. So, I mean, it's something that, yeah, we want it to happen, but there's definitely a negotiation that has to take place here, where we can't ask all of our taxpayers to foot this bill to satisfy their requirements. I mean, it has to be give and take on both sides. You know, my personal feeling, I mean, I think they need to come alongside of us in doing this road. It should not be all a tax burden for us. But that's where, you know, we as a board and Andrea, we have to figure out, and with the help of the attorney, you know, what is our negotiating power here? I mean, how much leverage do we have? We don't want to lose the deal, but we want to be able to get as good of a deal for our tax base as we can. That's important. So that's part of our job as a board, to be able to do that.
Which is really kind of why I asked the question about whether the school's responsible for the entire portion.
That's it.
Portion, because I would think, you know, with Helena, with the city, and when I say raise money, I'm not saying we're gonna raise money for the entire thing by any stretch. But every little bit helps, right?
Yeah.
And
It does.
and this community is very giving and thoughtful of the future and who will benefit from it. So, yeah, we appreciate your time.
Anybody else? Any comments? The back row's so quiet back there.
You guys are taking the notes, right?
Okay, so we'll move on to other, any items under other. Okay, and I just want to remind the board that the next regular scheduled board meeting will be Tuesday, August 19th at 6 o'clock. And again, make sure that you check your calendars for the budget schedule. And I will entertain, or I'll move to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.